Like many of you, I have heard a lot about Fujifilm cameras recently. It seems that everywhere you turn, someone's talking about the X100V and the X100VI and the X Pro 3 and all these cool Fujifilm cameras that give you that retro look and that cool vintage vibe, film simulations, all the things that you'd want to give you that classic photography feel. And as someone who's been looking to have more fun taking photos, these cameras have started to become appealing to me. But one thing that's definitely not been appealing is the price tag. A camera like the Fujifilm X100V, which came out like almost 5 years ago, is still selling on the used market for more than what the MSRP was when it's new. These cameras are selling for well over $1,000, and that's a lot of money to spend just for a fun second camera to take around with you on the street, on family vacations. That's a lot of money. So I went on a hunt. Could I find a Fujifilm camera that had the features, had the film simulations, the fun vintage look at a much cheaper price? What I landed on was the Fujifilm X-T2. I'm going to talk you through what my experience has been using the Fujifilm X-T2 for a couple weeks, giving you my thoughts on its performance, on its capabilities, on the fun of using it, and also tell you some things you probably should be aware of if you're looking into buying this camera today. This is less than half of the price of what you would be looking at for an X100V, with quite similar image quality and actually some advantages and some better features that you'd be missing on those fixed lens cameras. One of these big things is the ability to change lenses. Now, yes, that's an additional cost to buy lenses, but you have a lot more options when it comes to focal length. For example, I threw an 18mm f2 lens on this camera because I prefer the 28mm focal length to the 35mm focal length that comes on the X100 series. I find it includes the background and gives me a little bit more of an editorial look, and it's just more my vibe, and it's something that I appreciate that I get to put my own lens on this camera. Let's talk about the build quality. This is something that I think Fujifilm has been doing amazing at basically since they've been selling mainstream cameras. The body of this camera is small and light enough to feel comfortable to carry on your neck and take with you basically anywhere, but also feels substantial and solid, like it's not just going to break if you drop it. Now, the grip is a little bit smaller than I particularly would like, but I am someone with big hands, and my pinky does tend to fall off the bottom of the camera pretty easily. However, if you have this on a camera strap, if you're carrying it around your neck, and just pick it up every once in a while to get that quick snapshot while you're walking around doing street photography or hanging out with your family, I didn't find it to be a big problem. One thing that I've actually fallen in love with this camera is the screen. I've never had a camera that has had a tilting screen like this before. All my other cameras have had fully articulating flip screens, which is really convenient if you're doing something like I'm doing right now, filming a video of myself. I can see myself right there on the side. But if you're doing street photos, if you're wanting to be discreet and take photos and not have it look like you're carrying a big, ugly, professional, vlogging-like camera, having this screen that you can just tilt up, hold at your waist, take photos discreetly with, has been really nice. It's given me the opportunity to take photos I otherwise probably wouldn't have taken because it would have made people uncomfortable and it would have caused a big distraction. I love how tactile this camera feels. All the buttons feel really clicky, feel really firm, really strong. I don't feel like anything feels loose or cheap. It just has that more old, substantial, vintage feel that makes it so much more fun to just use day to day, to change the shutter speed, to change the ISO, is with these dials on the top of the camera, which are both beautiful, really easy to use, and just feel great. The other thing is that this camera is fully weather sealed, so you don't have to be worried. As long as you got a weather sealed lens on it, you can take it with you in the rain and the snow, and it's gonna hold up pretty well. A lot of cameras at a cheaper price point don't have this feature, so it's something that I love about something like the Fujifilm X-T2. While I didn't buy this camera for image quality, the image quality is very good. It has a 24 megapixel APS-C size sensor. To be honest, 24 megapixels is more than enough for what you would need if you want to capture simple landscapes, portraits, travel photos. Unless you're cropping heavily, doing huge prints, this will get you 95% of the way there in almost every situation. Didn't cause any big problems. Low light performance is also quite good for an APS-C camera. No, it's not going to compete with big full frame cameras with fast lenses, but it does good enough to handle simple low light shooting without having much problem. Another thing with the image quality of this camera is that it has built-in film simulations. Now, this being an older Fujifilm camera, its film simulations are a little bit more limited than what newer Fujifilm cameras look like. However, if you're not the kind of person who wants to edit your photos, it's a great starting place. Classic Chrome, Astia, Provia, ProNeg High, these are all options that you have if you want to just have a good starting point for JPEGs straight out of camera. Me personally, I found that these film simulations were a little more subtle than I liked. I like my photos to be a little bit more dramatic in their color shifting, and I felt that these, while they were a good starting place, were not enough to really make me love the photos. So for me, I ended up shooting primarily in RAW, editing them myself, getting them to look exactly how I wanted. But if you're someone who just doesn't like to edit, this is a great camera to have so you can get a good, natural, film-like look straight out of camera. If you ever want to find interesting film simulations, I highly recommend visiting Fuji X Weekly, where you can find a ton of different recipes, different ways you can set up the camera to give you different looks. I have a couple, like a Portra 400 and a Kodachrome film simulation built in based on what I got from that website, and they work pretty well. I'll put a link in the description if you're interested in finding those recipes. There are a lot of things to love about this camera. I just recently got back from a trip where I was up in the mountains of Colorado on a ski trip, hanging out in the beautiful Rocky Mountains, and I've never had a camera that was as fun to use as this. It's so easy to carry around with you everywhere. I took it into restaurants, out on the street, and I just grabbed photos of everything I saw. This really brought back this excitement to photography I haven't had before. So this is the time that I have to tell you about some serious flaws with this camera. Some of them don't bother me that much. A lot of them just stem around the fact that it's an older camera. For one, it doesn't have a touchscreen. And this is a little bit annoying sometimes, but honestly, something I can work around pretty easily, and with the vintage feel, didn't bother me that much. Like I said, the grip is a little smaller than I'd ideally like to fit in my hands, but again, when I'm using it on a camera strap, it doesn't make a big difference for me. I'm okay with it. Another problem this camera has is battery life. Now, again, battery life is not terrible, but it does have a pretty small battery. It's not a camera that you can carry with one battery the whole day and not have to worry about it. I had to have several backup batteries in case I ran out. Now, most of the time I wasn't taking enough photos to where I ran into many big issues with the battery, but it's always something you gotta be thinking about. I prefer it when I can take one battery with me for the whole day, and I just never have to worry about whether or not I'll have enough to get through what I'm shooting that day. And that's something you do have to worry a little bit more about with this camera. One of my biggest complaints about this camera, though, is its lack of IBIS. Now, I had a DSLR without in-body image stabilization for years and never really knew what I was missing. But now, I've got a Panasonic S5 II. That's what I'm filming on right now. And Panasonic has some of the best image stabilization of any cameras right now. And I've fully relied on this. I love using fast prime lenses that aren't stabilized, and when I put on that sensor stabilization on my Panasonic, I suddenly can video everything around me, and it looks super smooth, almost gimbal-like. Something that I don't have to worry about. I don't have to worry about carrying gimbals or things with me. I just know I'm gonna get good, comfortable images when I'm taking video at any moment. And the moment I tried to take video on this camera, I realized it's not a viable option for me. The video features in this camera are not actually that bad. It shoots in 4K, it shoots in log, so you can retain a lot of dynamic range. It's only 8-bit, but the colors coming out of it are pretty good, so it didn't bother me that much. The problem with this camera's video didn't have to do with the image quality, but simply that lack of stabilization. Every video clip I shot with this camera handheld was so bouncy and shaky that it was unusable. I couldn't comfortably use it for anything. So it took away my abilities to use this as a walk-around street camera with video out of the question. It became an only photo camera, and I just couldn't trust it to be used for video that I wanted to get along the way. I had to whip out my Panasonic camera if I wanted to get good video while I was going around enjoying the things around me. If you have a tripod or if you have a gimbal, I'm sure you could get great results with it, but that's not the kind of thing I want to carry with me when I'm walking around just taking fun photos. It's the kind of thing that I want to be able to just throw around my neck and go around and capture whatever I want and not have to worry about these things. And not having IBIS has become a big problem for me with this camera. The autofocus in this camera is fine. It's not great, but it's not bad either. I mean, it's good enough for doing street photos, for doing simple things. Now, it doesn't have super fast IAF or animal detection and all these cool things that new cameras have, so it wouldn't be your best sports or wildlife camera, but it does the trick for most everyday things. Didn't run into really any problems with the simple stuff that I was doing. Now, all those things are things that I think I could forgive because of the price of this camera and all the fun I had using it. But there's one problem that I don't think I can forgive, and that is the reliability. This camera isn't very reliable. At least it hasn't been for me. Now, the one that you get might be different. You might have much more luck with the one that you get and it might never flake out on you. But mine has been quite unreliable. I've had it freeze on me multiple times. I've had to take the battery out and put it back in. And I've even had a couple times where it doesn't turn on and I have to take the battery out, wait a minute, put it back in, and then it will turn back on. I've just had too many issues for it to be something that I can just brush off. There have been lots of people who have had great success with this camera, but I know I'm not the only one. I've seen threads and posts about people also having reliability issues with this camera too, where they were getting freezes and having issues with it. And this, in a lot of ways, takes away the fun that this camera had, because I'll be enjoying taking street photos and then it'll freeze on me and I'll have to take the battery out and I'll have to wait and I'll miss a moment that I want to get. And it became really frustrating. And for that reason, and some of the other reasons I mentioned, I'm not keeping this camera. I'm getting rid of it. I had fun with it while I had it. I got some great photos, but it gave me too many problems for me to comfortably use it as my everyday fun camera. And I think I'm gonna look for something else. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I'll try to reply to as many of them as possible. As I finish this video, I'll leave a handful of my favorite photos I took on this camera. Stay tuned to hear more about my journey of finding the perfect street photography fun camera, and I'll see you guys next time.